So Critical Role have just made a absolutely massive, insane announcement. This year marks the 10th anniversary of Critical Role, the little Dungeons & Dragons live stream featuring everyone's favorite nerdy-ass voice actors. The group's celebrating this 10th year anniversary with a series of live shows, the end of their third campaign, Critical Role Campaign 3, the launch of their new animated series, The Legend of the Mighty Nine, coming later this year, or I believe early next year, but most importantly, the thing that everyone was waiting for was the eventual announcement of Critical Role Campaign 4. Well, just the other day in a State of the Role, we finally got that announcement, and oh my god, was it more than I think anyone was expecting. Critical Role announcing some absolutely massive changes upcoming to this fourth campaign, none other than the fact that Brennan Lee Mulligan is going to be dungeon mastering.
Who's GMing?
Well, they actually happen to be in the building. You want me to bring them out? Well, critters, let's bring to the stage the GM for Campaign 4, Brennan Lee Mulligan.
How's it going, guys? I am Finn. Welcome back to finnfilms. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm a lover of all things nerd culture. Here on this channel, we discuss anime, shows, movies, video games, and of course, the fantasy world of Dungeons & Dragons. I am a massive fan of Critical Role. I've been lucky enough to be basically a day one fan, to have been watching since basically day one of the Geek and Sundry Campaign 1 Vox Machina story scuffed stream days. I've done all sorts of Dungeons & Dragons and Critical Role content on this channel, so feel free to check a number of those videos out if you like what you see. But to say that I was shocked and absolutely surprised for this State of the Role announcement is a bit of an understatement. You see, up until this point, I had made a number of theories and ideas about what exactly Critical Role Campaign 4 was going to entail. You know, exactly like where in the world of Exandria would this campaign take place, you know, how it would fit in the timeline and everything that's happened so far, especially after the fallout of Campaign 3, and now all of that speculation, all of that theorizing is seemingly gone completely out the window. As in this announcement video, there was really three major things, three major takeaways that we, the fan base, have learned from this State of the Role announcement. 1, the new Dungeon Master, Brennan Lee Mulligan. 2, a brand new world that is going to be taking place in Campaign 4, which to my understanding means no more World of Exandria, at least for this campaign. Finally, the third thing being the fact that there will be new players in this campaign. While there will be the return, seemingly the return of our full normal cast of voice actors that we are used to for Critical Role, there will as well be new returning faces of guest players, or potentially, at least the way they made it sound in the announcement, new additions to the, normal rotating cast of Critical Role, not just guest players.
I'll be playing alongside my favorite familiar faces and a number of newer ones that I cannot wait to reveal to you in the very near future.
So then let's go ahead and break down these three different kind of parts of this announcement and really speculate and think about like what this is going to mean for Critical Role, as these are some pretty major changes for the Critical Role brand, for the Critical Role franchise, at least in the short term. So we got to start off with obviously the major announcement, the huge news that Matt Mercer will be stepping down as Dungeon Master for Critical Role, at least for Campaign 4. Matt finally getting to take a break from the insane world building that he does and step in the shoes of a player for the entire of a campaign, and he will be replaced by none other than Brennan Lee Mulligan. Honestly, I think if there was anyone out there in the Dungeons & Dragons space that I could think of that would be worthy to step into the shoes of Matt Mercer and be the Dungeon Master for Critical Role, it is none other than Brennan Lee Mulligan. Brennan and Matt, in my opinion, are two of the best DMs that I've ever seen do it in the Dungeons & Dragons space. They are both absolutely amazing, fantastic storytellers, and again, I don't think that anyone I would like to see take Matt's place more than Brennan Lee Mulligan. I remember a few years back when the EXU Calamity miniseries debuted, where Brennan dungeon mastered, and I came away from that series being like, oh my god, yes, of course, like, please give this man Brennan his full-time show on Critical Role. Little did I know that it would be the actual main campaign. So I'm sure there's a bunch of Critical Role fans out there who aren't the most familiar with Brennan's work. Well, Brennan is a lifelong dungeon master, a lifelong lover of fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons, specifically for the Dropout TV broadcast. Brennan being a longtime cast member, as well as a hilarious comedian, being, a cast member on all sorts of their shows. But Brennan, over on Dropout TV, running a number of his own Dungeons and Dragons game. Specifically, I can think of Dimension 20 off the top of my head, as well as many others. Brennan, as well, has been a multiple-time guest on Critical Role, both as a player and as a dungeon master. Again, probably most notably being the dungeon master for the two EXU miniseries, Calamity and Divergence. If you have not watched EXU Calamity, I highly recommend it. In my opinion, it's probably Critical Role's best content that they've ever made. It is an absolutely insane story, and Brennan does an amazing job, and I think that this miniseries will give you a good idea on, Brennan's dungeon mastering style, as Brennan is very much a different style dungeon master to Matt Mercer. They are similar in many ways. They are both fantastic storytellers, but they are also vastly different, and so Campaign 4 necessarily is going to have a different kind of style and flavor to Matt Mercer's style of the first three campaigns, which I know is probably going to come as a major shock for most of the Critical Role fan base out there. I mean, I can't wait to see Campaign 4 Episode 1, and I imagine that a bunch of Critical Role fans will have missed the fact that Brennan is going to be dungeon mastering, and they're going to be absolutely shocked when, Campaign 4 Episode 1 debuts, and they see that Matt Mercer is no longer the dungeon master. They're probably going to freak out a little bit. And that's really the interesting thing about these, these three announcements that we're going to be discussing here in this announcement video, is the fact that people do not like change. There has already been a little bit of backlash and, a little bit of speculation online in the Critical Role, subreddit, as well as other places online, about all of these changes and what this is going to mean for Campaign 4 in the future, and really Critical Role as a whole. So yes, Campaign 4 is going to have a very much different feel with Brennan as the dungeon master. Again, there are things that Brennan does better than Matt, and things that Matt does better than Brennan. For example, I think that Matt is a better voice actor than Brennan. Brennan is still amazing at voices, but I think in terms of again, Matt is a professional voice actor, so in terms of raw, voice acting talent, I think that, Matt is better. I don't think that's a controversial take at all. However, there are also things that I think that Brennan does better. I think that Brennan is amazing at crafting these very emotional, deep moments, and Brennan's absolute love of, fantasy lore and just, high fantasy tropes, I think really shines through in the Critical Role kind of setting.
You behold on obsidian walls, overlooking the fortress prison of Rybad Cole, your leader, Asmog, a vampiric hobgoblin dressed in black armor, who holds a writhing hobgoblin elder by the throat.
I think that Brennan is going to do amazingly well being the dungeon master of Critical Role. It may take a little bit of time to get used to, but I think that a lot of people are familiar with Brennan. I mean, besides Matt, he is probably the biggest dungeon master in the dungeon mastering, kind of online D&D content creation scene. So it only makes sense that he would be the one that would take the reins from Matt. And I think that Matt deserves a break after the last 10 plus years of storytelling and world building that he's been doing. I mean, it is no easy feat crafting a story like Critical Role, the long-term kind of a big high fantasy story. So this man needs a break. And I think it'll be fun to see Matt Mercer as a full-time player. It'll be fun for us, the audience, and it will definitely be fun for him as a person. Real quickly, guys, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about all of this craziness in the comment section down below. Real quick announcement, I just want to say that I am in the process of making a brand new 3-part Critical Role series, my Critical Role in a Nutshell series, going into detail about, campaigns 1, 2, and 3 in a 3-part series in a nutshell. Yes, I'm going to be attempting to break down thousands of hours of D&D content, over 100 plus episodes of each campaign, into a nutshell video around an hour long, with the first video in the series over campaign 1 in a nutshell, hopefully releasing later this week, if not in the next 2 weeks. So keep your eyes out for that. Okay, guys, back to the video. Moving on, though, I want to discuss something that I think is honestly bigger news, is a bigger deal than the fact that Brennan will be taking over from Matt as the Dungeon Master, and that is the announcement that Campaign 4 is going to take place in a whole new world.
Stop that. You're not going to do a song while I'm here.
Yes, a whole new world, which I can only imagine to believe that means that we are leaving the world of Exandria. Something that, personally, at least right now, I am not exactly sure how I feel about. Now, when Campaign 3 ended, a bunch of people had been speculating over the last few months that Campaign 4 was going to take place in a new world and a new system. A lot of the hot speculation was that Campaign 4 was going to take place in the Daggerheart system, in the Daggerheart world, the fantasy, tabletop game that Matt Mercer has developed. Now, we don't know at this point what game system they will be playing in Campaign 4. I imagine it will be Dungeons and Dragons, but we do know, at least from this announcement here, that there will be a new world for Campaign 4, which to me very much sounds like it will not take place in the world of Exandria. Now again, this is speculation, we'll just have to wait and see, but I'm going to assume that a new world means not in the world of Exandria, and if it does, this is going to be a bit of a controversial choice, I think, by the Critical Role team. I mean, for the last 10 years, we have been immersed in the world of Exandria, this fantasy world that Matt Mercer has built from the ground up, that he has fleshed out tremendously, that many people are massive fans of. I know me personally, one of my favorite things about Critical Role, aside from the amazing stories that are told, is the lore of the world. It is the lore that Matt Mercer has created in his world building. So to leave this world that has been established for the last 10 years for thousands of hours of Dungeons and Dragons content to go to a potential new world is definitely something that I think is a major risk for Critical Role. Again, we're only speculating, so a new world might be a new world within the kind of universe of Exandria, but I can only imagine that this is going to be a brand new world completely. Something that I would definitely describe as a risk for Critical Role, but Critical Role in this announcement are taking a number of seemingly pretty high-profile risks, I would say, pretty high-profile changes for Campaign 4. So it's definitely going to be interesting seeing how the fan base, the viewer base reacts to all of these changes. And it honestly wouldn't shock me if some of the fan base and the viewer base, falls off and stops watching potentially for Campaign 4. But again, we are only speculating, so time will just have to tell. I mean, again, people do not like change. At the end of the day, Critical Role, people watch Critical Role like they watch Game of Thrones, like they watch their favorite show, because it is a story at the end of the day that we're watching. And too much change at one time for something that people are so deeply invested with and in love with will drive people away. Now, me personally, I have to say that I am very much intrigued by a lot of these changes, so I'll be watching no matter what. One, because I absolutely love Brennan, and I'm very curious to see what he is going to cook up, and I just absolutely love his storytelling style, and I would love to see Matt as a long-term player, especially mixing with the normal cast. Seeing him as a player in the normal cast is something that I've been dying to see, so that prospect alone is more than enough to get me to watch it. But I have to say, I am a little bit sad if by new world they mean that they will be leaving the world of Exandria, because personally as a fan, I am massively invested in this world, in the lore, and in the long-term stories. Again, at this point, this is mainly just speculation, but they did in that announcement video go out of their way to highlight a new world, which very much to me sounds like a new universe outside of the world of Exandria. But I guess only time will have to tell. The final announcement that we were going to be touching on is what might be the most controversial announcement, I think, and might be the announcement that has the most change on how we view Critical Role, especially from the last two campaigns, and that is the announcement of new players.
I'll be playing alongside my favorite familiar faces and a number of newer ones that I cannot wait to reveal to you in the very near future.
Now, again, this is speculation, but the way that they said this, the way they introduced this, made it sound like this was more than just a few guest players joining the party. They made it sound like this was a new addition of long-term party members, similar to how Robbie joined the party in Campaign 3 for long stretches of time. Which has led me and many people to wonder how exactly they're going to do this. I mean, they're already adding a new player to the group in Matt Mercer. So if we take the fact that there is the core group of players that we've seen so far, in Liam, Travis, and the gang, all of our normal Critical Role cast, we now throw Matt Mercer into that. I imagine that Robbie will probably also be a long-term campaign member. I don't think that's that's wild speculation to think that Robbie will continue to be in the group. And if we add potentially more, new players, at least for extended periods of time to this group, that's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons players. I mean, with the amount of players that they already run with, it was already challenging for Matt to keep things on track to run it. But if we add any more players to this group, if we have over 10 plus players in this party, things are just going to get absolutely chaotic, which has led me and several other of my friends to wonder if possibly, now this is crazy, so just hear me out now, and this is speculation, if Critical Role is going to be splitting off into two different parties that are happening simultaneously. Again, if the party size is 10 plus players, it would almost make sense for them to have two different groups going on, whether it's two groups of 5 or two groups of 6, for example, and then have two different stories running parallel, the parties, taking weeks off from week to week, meaning like party 1, week 1, party 2, week 2, vice versa, flipping back and forth. Again, this is crazy speculation. We have no proof that they are going to do this, but it does, it does make me wonder with the announcement of new players if this is possibly something that they could do. And personally, God, I hope they don't do that. To me, and I think many other people in the Critical Role fan base, one of the biggest things that draws us back to Critical Role time and time again, besides the amazing long-term stories that are being told, the amazing storytellers, is the party dynamics. It is the dynamics of these group of friends, these group of role players playing together. Their hilarious dynamics, the way they bounce off one another, that, has made people fall in love with Critical Role back, 10 years ago in 2015. So the idea of them changing these party dynamics, whether by splitting this group of friends up, adding new people as long-term players to the group, is a little bit daunting. Again, this is just wild speculation, but these announcements have kind of made these ideas creep into people's mind, as we are wondering, how is this all going to work? Again, I don't know how many times I need to say it, but people do not like change. We are creatures of habit. We have grown to enjoy something and we don't like major changes. And right now we are staring 3 major changes in the face with not enough information for people to, be wildly speculating like I'm doing now. And we just don't know enough to really have a concrete idea of what Campaign 4 is going to look like. Is this something that is going to be the norm for the future, or is Campaign 4 going to be, kind of a one-off? Is this going to be a bit of an experiment? We're going to give Matt some time to relax and not have to, worry about all of these stresses as being a dungeon master, let him be a player, let Campaign 4 be kind of a standalone campaign and then return to Exandria in Campaign 4, or is this just a drastic new change of direction for Critical Role? Personally, I can't see them abandoning the world of Exandria for the long term. I mean, this is their brand. It is their bread and butter. It is what their core audience has fallen in love with. It is what their Dungeons and Dragons books are based off of. It's what their animated series are based off of. This is what they make their money on. This is what their fan base has come to expect and love. So I imagine, personally, I just can't see them doing too many major changes at once. Too many major changes to something is oftentimes a death sentence in the content world. So me personally, it just wouldn't make sense for them to do all of these changes at once, especially not for the long term. Again, though, we're only speculating, so we're just going to have to wait and see in early August when Campaign 4 ultimately debuts to just see what the is going on here. All I know is that these are some of the biggest announcements and craziest, things in the Dungeons & Dragons Critical Role space that we have seen in some time. This has been a big major shakeup in the Critical Role space, and I am more excited now than ever to see what Campaign 4 is going to be like. Personally, I am super excited to see 1, Matt as a player, and 2, Brennan as the Dungeon Master. I think that Brennan is going to absolutely kill it as the Critical Role Dungeon Master. I love Brennan. I think that, in my opinion, Brennan might be the best DM out there. He might even be better than Matt, which I know is a bit of a controversial opinion maybe, but I absolutely love Brennan's storytelling style, and he's just an amazing human being. However, though, we still have a lot of questions about what Campaign 4 is going to look like, who is going to be the party members, how is this going to work if they're going to add a new long-term party members, what is the dynamic going to be like between all of these players? Are there going to be 2 player groups at once? God, I hope not. What world are they going to play in? There's so many different questions, and we're just going to have to wait and see. All I know is that I am more excited than ever to see what ultimately Critical Role has in store for us for Campaign 4. But God, I just hope that they don't make too many changes at once. But again, only time will tell. As always, guys, with these videos, these are just my thoughts and opinions, and again, we are wildly speculating, so feel free to let me know yours in the comment section down below. Are you excited to see Brennan take the reins as the Dungeon Master for Critical Role? What do you think that this means when they say that they're going to be playing in a new world? Do you think this will mean that they are leaving the world of Exandria? And what exactly do you think this means when they say that they will be adding new players? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. If you did enjoy this video, guys, then please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as that is the easiest way to support me, and it really does go a long way in putting this video into the algorithm. If you did enjoy this video, then why don't you check out some of my many other Critical Role in D&D videos on screen now. Again, I am in the process of doing making a brand new Critical Role series, a 3-part series that are going to be some massive videos, each one of these videos being an hour long in my Critical Role in a Nutshell series. So keep your eye out for the first part of this series of videos to be releasing, hopefully later this week. As always, guys, thank you again for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace, love, Adu.